Today I have a box. This has just been delivered by the lovely man from FedEx, and I have a sneaking suspicion that I know what it is. We'll open it up and see what's inside. So here we have the Autel Evo Nano with a slightly dinged corner, but I don't think that will be a problem. Inside we have a bag. So this is the Evo Nano series premium bundle. So inside this one, obviously we get a bag. Anything in the front? Nope. There's pockets on both sides, I guess for a smartphone or whatever. And then opening up the top, we have the controller, which feels nice. There's sticks obviously somewhere. We have this, I believe, is the charging dock for the batteries. We have a box of accessories that we'll look at in a minute. A wall charger. We can go all the way up to 12 volts at 2.5 amps on the Type C, or 12 volts at 1.5 amps, 9 volts at 2 amps on the Type A. So you can get a pretty decent charge speed from this. We have 2 spare batteries, and there's a third battery inside the drone itself, which is pretty minuscule. I mean, it fits in your hand. It's a sub 249 gram drone, like the DJI Mini 2 and the Hubsan something. I will look it up and put it on the screen. But there aren't many drones in the sub 249 gram space, and this is one of them. We've also got the 3-axis gimbal at the front, and this one on the standard Nano is a 1/2 inch chip, but you can see it's 3 axes. So then that pops off, and that opens out the legs like this. Inside the accessories kit, we get a spare set of props, another 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spare sets of props, as well as the 4 that are on there. These, I think that, oh, they're knobs for these. So we'll take the 2 little knobs out. So underneath the controller, we've got an air outlet on either side. We've got a socket to connect it to your mobile device. And underneath, you've got a charging point. You've got a spinny dial there. Oh, that just goes left, right, function button, shoot a photo, or start, stop, record, power, home, pause. We have a USB to USB-C cable, a little mini screwdriver for doing your props. And we have another, oh, these are your Type-C data cables. I'll be using Type-C because I'll be using my OnePlus 7 Pro. So I think what I will do now is unpack the battery charger, plug all these in, and then we'll leave it to charge. So it turns out that for the last 15 minutes, my camera hasn't been recording a thing. So we're going to start over again. As you can see, there's a battery missing off the plate. That's because I left them charging overnight, and I've put one of them into the drone, activated it, which was as simple as the app telling you, hey, you need to activate your drone, and you hit OK and it says drone activated. But I've also had to do a firmware update, which is what I just did and just filmed and just wanted to show you, but none of the footage recorded, except this little bit of B-roll that I was shooting while I thought my overhead camera was recording. But yeah, the firmware is updated. If we load up the app now, and if we turn on the remote, turn on the drone, tell the app to start, it should connect. So there is a whole lot of warnings when I turn this thing on, because one, I'm indoors, so there's no GPS, so it doesn't want me to take off, which I can't do in what they call novice mode, which is like, if you've never flown a drone before, it's probably a good idea to start it out in novice mode while you're still figuring everything out. But yeah, the firmware is updated. So you can check the firmware from within the app itself, but the app actually tells you, hey, you know, go and upgrade your firmware if there's a new one. Camera settings, you can't really see a whole lot of this. Let me turn my, actually, what I will do, screen recorder, record. Hey, there we go. So now even if you can't see what the camera's picking up because the display's bright, you'll be able to pick it all up in the screen recording. So yeah, so here in the about, you can see the aircraft firmware versions and all this stuff. It will tell you if there's a new one coming. Image transmission, you can't change anything there, so I'm guessing that's a future thing. You've got the camera, so in here I've got a 32 gig card in the drone. Now the drone will officially support up to 256 gig, but you know I've got these 1 terabyte micro SD cards, so I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm going to try them. We'll go into control. We can choose between kilometers per hour, meters per second, or miles per hour. I'm going to pop it into miles per hour. Mode 2, command stick mode is fine. Flight mode, smooth, yes, but there is a sport one. But it says obstacle avoidance. Yes, so that's a big thing about this drone. So it's under 250 grams. So it's sort of competition to the Mavic Mini 2 and the Hubsan thing. One of these days I will remember what it's called, but it's not really, because this is the only sub 250 gram drone that actually has obstacle avoidance built in. And you can see we've got 2 sensors on the front, 2 on the back, 2 on the front, and 2 underneath. But no, I'm going to keep this in smooth mode. I'm going to go safety. There's your novice mode. So it sets an altitude limit, a distance limit, and a speed limit. And you can speed that up. I don't know what the speed limit of the actual drone itself is, but when novice mode's on, it's 7 miles an hour. So that's that. I don't know what that does. Oh no, that turns down the turns off the obstacle detection. And here we got settings for whatever current mode we're in for hyperlapse. So let's start at the beginning. We got pro. Oh, there's only 30 frames. I wish we could do 24. I wish we could do 24 frames per second video at all resolutions. I mean, because it's less demanding than 30, so you would think it would be an option, but on a lot of stuff, action cameras, drones, it's not, and it's disappointing. Spherical view, these are all... This must be like a flight mode where it takes a shot, moves, takes a shot. Oh yeah, it's a panorama. Yeah, pano. So you can do spherical. That is something I'm definitely going to have to try. You can do wide angle, landscape, or portrait. So you got manual hyperlapse, where you can orbit hyperlapse. Video, we got our usual video settings. Resolution, frame rate, if you want it to take photos while shooting video. Same for the photos. You can go 16:9 or 4:3 resolution. You can do single or bursts or set it on a timer. What else we got? Portrait. Oh, we got a portrait mode. I don't know if it's like an actual portrait mode like a smartphone, or if it's just going to see you and take a shot. And then we've got our quick shots, which are our flick, fade away, rocket, and orbit. And yeah, that's it. So I think now I am going to pack all this in and turn that off. Turn that off because that's getting quite annoying. The fan is on all the time, and there's one in the remote as well. So there's a fan in this and a fan in this. The fan in this is on all the time. This just seems to come on when it gets a bit warm, although it doesn't feel that warm, but it did come on. But yeah, so there is a fan on all the time with these, which, I mean, compared to the sound of the propeller blades, it's probably not going to be that bad, but it is something to be aware of if you happen to be filming a review video with it powered up. I'm going to give this battery a top up, then I'm going to get everything packed up in this bag, and we're going to head out while it's still daytime, because it's Scotland and it gets dark by half an hour, an hour from now. So yeah, so I'm probably going to charge this on the road actually and just head out. See you in a minute. Alrighty, so we have come out. It's a little bit, I mean, it's nice and bright, but it's a little bit windier than we're anticipating. But we brought the Autel Evo Nano with us so that we can throw it up in the air and see how well it can handle this wind. So we've just burned through all 3 batteries and we've had a bit of a play. First impressions are actually pretty good. We'll talk more about it at the computer. There's a couple of things that I don't want to say they annoy me, I just wish they worked a little differently, and maybe there's something Autel can do with a future app update or a firmware patch or whatever. But yeah, we'll have a look at the footage and I'll see you back at the desk. I've just had a look at all the footage you've just watched, and even ungraded, it's not bad. As for the drone itself, it flies very well. I thought it was a little slow on that first trip out, never breaking about 10 miles per hour, but I've since taken it out again, knocked the flight mode up to sport, disabled collision avoidance, and I reached just over 27 miles per hour in the wind. So it's not quite as fast as some drones out there, but it's pretty nippy and seems to stand up to 20 mile an hour winds just fine. I didn't really run into a single hiccup getting it into the air. It was pretty straightforward process, just unfold the gimbal, put my phone in the controller, power everything up, and you're pretty much good to go right out of the box. Nothing else to do. Well, obviously you got to charge the batteries, but other than that, nothing else to do. The flight time in ideal conditions, according to the Autel website, is 28 minutes. I found that I was probably getting closer to 24 minutes, but it has been really windy here. I burned through all 3 batteries on that first trip out, and the controller's battery was just starting to die just as the 3rd battery was getting low. So if you do get the Ultimate Pack, the controller will last for all 3 batteries as long as you keep it fully charged when you start. It's a shame you can't swap the battery in the remote, but you can plug it into a power bank and charge it up from the Type-C quite easily. Controlling the drone is pretty easy, and automatic homing and landing works great. It's wonderful. The app has a fantastic interface that shows you all of the important information like your altitude, speed, the battery life of both the drone and the controller, and so on. There are a few features listed on the Autel website for the Evo Nano that don't quite work as intended yet, at least not with this one, but remember this is a pre-production unit. I can't shoot 48 megapixel RAW files on this one yet. It tops out at 12 for now. There's no 24 or 25 frames per second when shooting 4K video either. I only get 30 frames per second, or I can go up to 60 if I shoot 1080. Big one, there's no manual exposure control yet. Hopefully that's one they'll work on adding real soon. And the tracking functions aren't quite perfect yet. They do pretty good, but they did lose me a couple of times, whether it was just the contrast of me against the environment or it was confused by the lighting and silhouettes or what, I don't know, but I'm gonna keep having a play with that in different locations to see how well it does. Autel has told me that they are working on these features and they'll either be fixed or new ones will arrive in a future firmware update. I've posted some more of my initial thoughts about the Autel Evo Nano over on DIYP, so be sure to click the link in the description and have a read of that. And I'll have a full review of this coming soon once the new firmware features come and I've had more of a chance to play with it. Comment down below if you have any questions about the Autel Evo Nano or there's anything you want me to test for the full review, and don't forget to hit subscribe along with all of the other buttons on the screen. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.